In this lesson, we're going to start chapter 6. We're going to cover section 6.2, random variables. But the title of this chapter, and I had it on the previous page, is random variables, which I'm going to talk about in this lesson, and discrete probability distributions. And we'll get into that in the following lessons. So really, 6.2 is going to pretty much be a review. So we already know what a variable is, right? Think of a variable as it's what we're measuring, right? So the characteristic that we're measuring about a person, a thing. So an example of a variable could be height, weight, eye color, hair color, number of people in your family, how many books are on a shelf, and so on and so forth. So a random variable is a variable that takes on different numerical values, which are determined by chance. And down here in example 2, which we'll get to in a minute, these are all examples of random variables. A person's waist size, the number of customers arriving at Ralph's Italian Ices during any given hour, the time required to travel to school, and so on and so forth. Remember what we talked about in chapter 2. Not all variables are the same type. So 6.2 is going to be a quick review between the difference of a discrete random variable and a continuous random variable, which we did discuss in chapter 2. So just a quick review. So remember, a discrete random variable is a random variable that can take on a countable number of values, whereas a continuous random variable, the variable can assume any value or an uncountable number of values between any two possible values of the variable. So what I want to do in example 2 is just make sure we remember the difference between discrete and continuous variables. So let's go through these. So A says a person's waist size. Now remember, continuous is going to be any type of measurement. So if we're going to measure something such as a person's waist size, that's going to be continuous. B says the number of customers arriving at Ralph's Italian Ices during any hour. So since we're going to be counting the number of customers or the number of people, that's countable, right? It's not a measurement. We could count the number of people. So that's going to be discrete. C, the number of TVs sold at Best Buy during a given month. So the number of TVs is going to be countable. So that's also going to be discrete. D, the time required to travel to school. So we're looking at time. Time is a measurement, and time is always continuous. So that's going to be a continuous random variable. E, the number of times you sign on to Facebook a day. So we can count the number of times you sign on to Facebook. So since it's countable, that's going to be discrete. The number of runs scored at a baseball game. We could count the number of runs. So that's also discrete. G, the number of inches of rainfall per month on Long Island. So that's a measurement, right? Measuring the number of inches of rainfall, and that's not countable. So that's going to be continuous. And then the last practice example is the amount of gas a car consumes each week. So again, that's going to be a measurement. And typically when we measure the amount of gas in a car, it's in gallons. So we have another measurement. So that's also going to be not countable or continuous. So again, this was just a quick review of the difference between a discrete random variable and a continuous random variable. Now in this chapter, in chapter 6, we're going to be focusing only on discrete random variables. And then when we get into chapter 7, we'll get into continuous.